Today we are delighted to host Mr. Dadhichi Tripathi, our alumni from batch of 2012 to 14. He has worked extensively in the e-commerce sector and is currently the finance manager at Amazon. He is also keenly interested in the field of AI and automation and has pursued various certification for the same. Sir, we warmly welcome you to the episode of Taran.
Thanks, Shashank. Thanks to Taran team for inviting me, and it's a really special feeling coming back to IIFTs for speaking anything on this topic.
So we have selected some questions from a batch, which we would like to
Sure.
ask, right? So the first question is, can you give us some insights into functioning of a finance department in an e-commerce setup, and how is it different?
Sure, Shashank. So I would say it's not very different from other organizations. Broadly, CFO orgs is divided into accounting, planning, and reporting kind of structure. And within that structure, you will find a lot of accounting department working on account payable, account receivable, and a lot of accounting work, maintaining the books and investor relation, treasuries kind of niche things. And then planning and reporting is more on retail side, operational finance, and looking into marketplace finances, and kind of people who really work with the directors and support them as their finance managers, or basically you can say their finance partners. So this is more business facing role. And other than that, big companies like Amazon have center of excellence in countries like India, where you will see a lot of back-end job, sort supporting a lot of functioning of like POs, clearing cost-related problems for vendors through this excellence center in India. So that is another type of job available within Amazon.
Okay. So you have a great experience in the field. Could you and changes have happened in the recent period, particularly post-pandemic. So could you give us some insight into how the application of finance have evolved over the years, and also emphasizing on what really happened post-pandemic? What kind of the changes have happened?
Sure. So, few things just to say in terms of finance. Pre-pandemic, also finance was moving on where redundancy was reducing. A job which was done by three, four people before was coming down to 1% or 2%, and expectation of like ability of that person was more. So you could expect the same person doing data analytics job as well as churning data as well as reporting and doing a lot of stuff. And so expectation from one person to do so one man army kind of job is more from finance people now than before. That is one change which is already happening. And post-pandemic, that has actually grown because now you have to interact with multiple tools and you don't have like day-to-day presence to go and check anyone's laptop directly. So you have to interact through systems. And that's how, so a finance manager or finance person as an independent only finance guy is long gone. Now the person has to be technically sound, understand business and understand some amount of analytics, and all that is already in. So I would say the lines of finance, analytics, and business are kind of blurring. And person who is there is kind of a well-versed person who understands business and then gives business insight by doing all that research. So that's the new role of finance.
Mhm. Okay, so got it, sir. So following this same on the same line, I want to know like what are the tools and models adopted by Amazon as a firm to curtail cost and boost revenue over the time. And also the revenue models have changed recently of many firms, particularly the kind of changing in the functioning and customer behavior post-pandemic. So can you give us some insight on that line?
Sure. So Amazon believes in a lot of in-house modeling. When you say modeling in terms of designing, let's say, how much inventory should be kept, what the pricing should be. So at times you'll say pricing. I'll just speak about, let's say, one case, pricing maybe. So there's a lot of research and science which goes behind pricing. Sometimes pricing you will see, let's say for example of India, you will see Flipkart prices matches with Amazon prices. So kind of both the competitors are looking at each other's price and maintaining that price. That is one way of doing it. Other ways could be in form of where it is based on your cost price, and sometimes it is based on your inventory. So in pricing itself, there are so many variables that like if person goes and does that pricing manually, it's bound to fail. And I can give you an example where before all these systems were in place, a 14,000 video game could have been sold in 1400, and you will say that okay, actually firm reduced that price, but actually it was a manual mistake somewhere in some Excel, some zero got removed, and then company has to keep that promise. So it was hard to maintain it manually. So one is automation, and then to drive that automation, a lot of technology is behind. Now, if you talk about Amazon, so Amazon says like management by exception. What that means is it is management don't need to intervene in anything by default. In ideal world, everything is automated. Management has to come only in cases of exception. So everything which management is doing or you are doing manually is kind of exception. So expectation is all the systems are 100% automated. If you're doing anything, your job itself is a defect in system. Till that defect is removed, you are doing a redundant job. So in a way, your job becomes like to automate that system in long run. So that's a broader, bigger policy. And if you think about it, that works. And because over a period of time, a lot of things will get automated. And finance and current way of reporting and saying, oh, this number is this, can easily be translated by machine by writing text, where some of the tools which we already have can write your documents based on the numbers in your system, PNL and everything, and you can directly go and read it. So if that can be done by system, then what the finance person is doing. So you have to think more holistically, and that's where it will help you in long run.
Okay. So another question which comes to my mind with the progress of, a lot of terms we heard, artificial intelligence and automation. So how can AI and automation transfigure the finance vertical to be more agile as well as now, as well as in the future? Consider that we now can face with really unexpected challenges which we have not really faced or have any experiences, do not have any models to look forward to.
Sure. So I will say AI will be a bit of exaggeration to say most of the application here is ML, machine learning based.
Hmm.
AI in terms of general intelligence is still not available, or I will not abuse that word in general. But what I'll say is like a lot of data is available, be it finance or operation. And at least in finance, you can do a lot of time series modeling. Maybe it is not done with the ML. It can, particularly in finance, applications of ML are limited in a way like all those models were previously present in some way or the other, probabilistic models. A lot of it is a function of some probability coming, giving you output with the input. So they were already present. Only thing is now they are more efficient. Now, there are applications where you have to do fraud detection. Someone is trying to cheat Amazon by returning. So there it is much more useful. But if you say day-to-day reporting, I would say it's limited. Planning, yes, it is important in planning because a lot of planning leads to inventory capacity and a lot of other things which result into cost. So there these models are working well, and they have a lot of degree of freedom where you can add say pandemic or remove the pandemic, and based on that your output changes, and that is the flexibility of model built into system, and that's I would say way forward. As I told you about management by exception policy, a lot of it will get automated. So you will not need a lot of finance people to do like one job for each maybe manager or each director. Maybe one person or two-person can handle it much broadly. So finance will become even more centralized with a lot more tooling and capacity. And a lot of the questioning which finance is doing may get auto triggered or by system and generated mails where you may actually, by the time you do 5 years of work, I can totally see you may do some work and 3 4 days after you will get a mail from subsystem saying, oh, looks like you are doing something wrong here, check it. And that will not be your manager, it will be more of a AI based
AI based.
system running in the
Hmm.
backend. So that's very much possible. That's I think we are in competition in that way.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. That's also happening in some one way or another way. So, sir, we are coming more toward your personal side in the interview. So,
Sure.
we came to know that you have diverse range of interests, and we would like more about your interest in quantum computing, small robots, and AI in medical.
Sure. I would just call it interest because I don't work on them full time, and sometime, basically, I'm electronics engineer, so at times I feel like I should try it out. And when I see any device, most of the time I think about it. Oh, can I create it? Like instead of like thinking about buying it, most of
Hmm.
the time I'm like, oh, can I create it? So I would give you example. Like I saw a Roomba, and I thought, oh, it's a nice thing. Can I create it? And then I actually created a model of it. And a lot of the parts were bought from AliExpress from China, and then assembled at my system, my home.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of it were driven by some software which had camera, and then it had some amount of image processing, as you said, from AI.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
this much amount of time. You manage this
so
amount of time. That's
that's a good question. Actually, it is up to you. So I'm not too much into, I would say, movies. So some people like to go out much and depend.
uh,
So it's like how you want to spend time. So up to your priorities. And similarly, I think I had another model where I worked on a vertical garden, which was more like saying, okay, how to automate a vertical garden. I don't need to water it every day and give nutrition and all that. So those kind of small things you can do. Now, another interesting topic your question is about yeah, quantum computing.
computer. Yes.
So while I was doing all these projects, and I realized a lot of the world is going to be integrated with these IoT systems and some amount of AI at the back end. But these are still incremental in nature. What is really disruptive in long run is kind of quantum computing kind of answer. Now it is very nascent, and it's totally possible 5 year down the line it may just die out or fizz out. But if it works, it has potential to disrupt everything which we do today. So it basically fundamentally alters a lot of the computing we do today, the way we think about one and zero. So in our brain, it is saying digital is one and zero, but once you can get into quantum field, it is way more different. So basically, you have to restart your physics studies, saying, okay, atom is not always atom, and then it's not always true. Everything is not always true, and from that assumption, you have to rebuild your thoughts. So it's that way. It's like restarting your study, and thus I like that field. For now, I don't have practical application, and what I would suggest to others also is IBM, Amazon, or any other company you name it. Most of them are spending billions of dollars into quantum computing research.
Mhm.
So go and read about it. IBM is already providing a lot of platform where you can read about it and try some applications. So you can do that also. But I do see some potential coming up over a period of time where this will disrupt our current working.
Okay. So what advice you would like to give to the budding finance enthusiast at IIFT, and how can they better their skill set to better prepare for the future role, ever evolving role, actually?
Sure. Yeah. I would say most of the studies, you should be good at your fundamentals, and
Hmm.
then anything very extra will not work for long. 5 to 10 years, most of that will get obsolete. So one thing which you have to be ready in this world is always be studying something or the other. So don't think this is the final time when you are studying something. If that is the case, then likely you will get obsolete faster than other of your batchmates. That is one. Other, I will say, a lot of connecting the dot happens in your life. You will realize things you read in 12th class and then maybe in some summer internship or somewhere will get added or will help you to do something, some project later on. So that is another thing, and that's why you should network better as well. And then while you're reading a finance, read it from the practical purpose. So when you're reading a P&L, just think about it. This line item is how important is that line item? How will I go and optimize this cost? How will I go and increase that line item? So each line items become some function in this bigger org. Someone is driving that. So can you sitting at the finance table reading that P&L visualize that person's work in your mind and think how they are performing? Is it good, bad, average? And then give your not I will not say opinion. Think about it. Talk to them. Be cross-functional in your approach. So that helps. So don't be just in one domain. Try to be in diverse groups.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
these
sir.
things will help.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I also love the point. Ever learning, practical learning, thinking from a
Yeah.
practical point of view and try to connect the dots. Sir, and now we would like to hear about some of your memories as well as some of the crucial learning moments at IFT.
Yeah, I think one of the crucial learning moment at IFT for me was I used to be a good engineer before, and I came with the same perspective in MBA saying, okay, good marks, good placement, that is the hierarchy, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's not. MBA is more about practical life, and practical life is full of exceptions. A lot of people you don't expect to do good are doing good, and a lot of people you think good, bad about. So all that notion of saying someone is better or lesser or saying it goes away. Everything is open now. Everything is allowed. In a way, it's not linear, and that's how actually practical world and business works. Everyone has got opportunities, and you may not think about it, but a lot of other people are thinking about it. So be open to opportunities, and only theoretical learning will not work, and that is true in business environment more so than MBA. And so MBA is in that way is art and science. That was the definition given, I think, in first or second class. So over a period of time, I have started appreciating that definition. Now, coming to the college part, I was part of IIFT Delhi, and I used to definitely love parathas outside gate. I don't know in this pandemic how many of you have actually enjoyed that, but and there used to be a famous location in college like top of the world, and then library was supposed to be famous, but I saw lesser people there. And over a period of time, a lot of other places got famous. One of the place which I liked was Sanjavan, and that was lush green outfield outside IFT, where I used to go out for maybe morning walks or jogging sometime. And definitely, there were professors like Joydeep who told a lot more insight into, let's say, macroeconomics and microeconomics at times. So, those kind of learnings you will remember because if you're just reading something theoretically, you will most likely forget it. Once you have context about it, why you are learning, where it matters, then you will remember it and it will help you. So I hope very best for you and team, and I hope you are also enjoying in maybe some other way.
Yes, sir. And these learnings are also very important, particularly in our context, because we are also facing something very unique, being apart from really part of batch of COVID. These
Yeah,
learnings and these insights will be really helpful. And everybody, if you like our videos, then you can subscribe and can comment on the comment section as well. Your suggestion, everything else. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being
thank
part
you.
of Tarang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.